Back at it with another Riley every day, and today I'm going to tell you 10 things you need to know about Florida's Walter Clayton ahead of the NBA draft. First off, he was a dual sport athlete. Clayton Jr. was a very accomplished football player who won a couple state championships with Bartow High in Florida. He had offers from the Gators, from Florida State, from Georgia, from Tennessee, from Notre Dame, among others. He was mainly recruited as a safety, but also played a little bit of quarterback, some wide receiver, and he was a kicker. Now, considering those offers, it's surprising that he stuck with basketball, especially since he flew under the radar, which brings us to number 2. His recruitment didn't pick up till late in high school. Now, Clayton Jr. was a class of 2021 prospect, meaning that some of his prime developmental years were affected by the COVID pandemic. In fact, that summer of his junior year was 2020, and instead of playing on a travel circuit with an AAU team, he instead was left working out on his own, hooping on outdoor courts. Now, when restrictions were lifted in the summer of 2020, he did partake in some streamed workouts with an AAU program, and that was when he started to receive some offers. Which brings us to number 3. He committed to Iona in November of 2020. Now, the Gales have been the class of the MAC for the better part of a decade, but that's still a long ways away from Power 4 football. But hey, if you love hoop, you love hoop. And he chose Iona over Florida A&M and James Madison. At the time of his commitment, he cited then head coach Rick Pitino as the main reason why, saying he knew Pitino could turn him into a pro. 4 years later, pretty prescient words from Mr. Clayton. Number 4, he earned a role his first season at Iona, scoring 7 points per game in 16 minutes. The Gales ran through the MAC that year, going 17-3 in league play, but they ultimately flamed out in the quarterfinals against Rider in the conference tournament. In that game, Clayton Jr. had a chance to ice the game at the charity stripe before missing the front end of a 1-1. Hold on to that note because it'll be important to remember later. Number 5, his second year in New Rochelle, he exploded. Walter Clayton averaged 17 points per game, shot 43% from 3 on over 5 attempts per game, and he led the nation in free throw percentage at 95.3. That season, the Gales captured both the regular season and the conference tournament crown. They earned a 13 seed in the Big Dance. They ultimately lost to a pretty good UConn team in the first round, but Clayton scored 15 in the loss, and he got his first taste of the postseason. And that brings us to number 6. That following offseason, Pitino left for St. John's, but Clayton didn't follow him. Instead, he elected to play for an up-and-coming coach by the name of Todd Golden, entering his second season at Florida. Now, this commitment happened in April 2023, and it's not often in this era that an announcement isn't spoiled ahead of time, but when Clayton chose Florida over St. John's, it was truly a shocking commitment, but ultimately proved to be the right decision. Number 7. Clayton's scoring translated immediately his first season in Gainesville. He again scored 17 a game and made the All-SEC second team. But most notably, he led the Gators to break a 3-year tournament drought. They ultimately lost in the round of 64 to Colorado by just 2 points. Clayton had a monster game, put up 33 and showed off the full offensive bag. He was an absolute problem that game and really revealed what he could become his senior year at Florida. Which leads us to number 8. Now, there were a lot of highs to choose from this past campaign, but let's go with this. Clayton led Florida to its best record since 2014 when Billy Donovan was roaming the sidelines. He was the catalyst that made the offense go because his shot creation, his shooting, it just opened up so much for the rest of the Gator boys, and it made them not just the best, but the most fun team to watch in college basketball. And of course, we can't overlook his tournament run, which brings us to number 9. He scored back-to-back 30-point games in the Elite 8 and the Final 4, becoming the first player to do so since Larry Bird. But let's zero in on that Elite 8 game for a second. Against Texas Tech, the Gators were trailing by 10 with 5 minutes to go before Walt Jr. went federal. They tied the game at one point before Texas Tech took the lead with just over a minute left in the contest. That's where Clayton took over. He ran a little pinch post action with Thomas Houck. Houck found him open under the basket, but Texas Tech snuffed out the action well. They took away the easy shot, so what did Walt do? He just pulled it back out, cashed a step back 3 over 2 defenders, and Florida didn't relinquish the lead after that. So finally, number 10. Walter Clayton Jr. is a national champion, second take, come on. And finally, number 10. Walter Clayton Jr. is not just a national champion, he is also an MOP of the Final Four. In the championship game against Houston, it was his defense against Emmanuel Sharp that kept the Cougs from even getting a shot off that could have tied or won the game. And now he's poised to become the first Florida player since 2021 to be drafted in the first round.